Hello, everyone. As Cersei said, Harry Looney from the Lake Anna Civic Association. I'd like to start off by thanking Cersei and the Chesapeake Bay National Estuarine Research Reserve for hosting this symposium, and all the work that Cersei did in advance, getting the speakers ready. It was very helpful, learning this new platform, hadn't used it before. I'd like to thank all the attendees for spending the next 15 minutes or so with me. And I'm going to be talking about the water quality update as of right now, as of this year, in the Upper York River, specifically the Lake Anna drainage area is what I'll concentrate on because that's where our data is from. But I'm going to talk more generally about the entire water quality in the Upper York River as we kind of get deeper into it. So this is a story of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there we go. It works. Hopefully you guys heard that. Like throughout the York River and all of Virginia's waterways, probably everybody sees the waterways and enjoys the waterways from a recreational and sporting, fishing, skiing, water skiing, tubing, wake surfing, all of those things. And of course, the Lake Anna and Upper York River enjoys those same benefits. This is a picture from last summer of Lake Anna off of my dock. I live on Contrary Creek in the dock. It's about midway in the lake, just north, about a mile north of the two nuclear power, the North Anna Power Station and the two power nuclear reactors that are on the lake. That was the reason for the lake being formed back in the late 60s and 70s. Some beautiful scenery, beautiful water. Water conditions vary throughout the lake. This is a picture from last weekend where Lake Anna Civic Association volunteered a number of folks to support the kinetic multisports triathlon and Olympic activities, including about a mile and a 1.2 mile swim in the water at 7 in the morning when it was 44 degrees outside. Water temperature was 69 degrees, so I think the swimmers preferred being in the water rather than on the beach. And we supported with kayaks and jet skis so that the swimmers could take breaks and we could help the first responders on the water from both the Spotsylvania and the Louisa County Sheriff's offices and the fire department and rescue services. LACA has for more than 15 years now, going on 20 almost, supported DEQ in their efforts to monitor the waterways in this area by monitoring the lake and several of the streams in the Lake Anna's drainage area. This is a picture from last year of a couple of our team members, our volunteers, out doing sampling. We use typical instruments like Secchi disc to monitor turbidity, although we're in the process of purchasing some YSI instruments that will have turbidity sensors, so we'll be able to get specific turbidity readings from those sensors. And we also collect water samples and get total nitrogen, total phosphorus, E. coli, and chlorophyll lab samples. We use the Division of Consolidated Lab Services in Richmond to conduct those services. And all of our data is conducted at level 3, quality assurance, and certified by DEQ through a protocol manual and quality assurance program plan. So our data can be used in the DEQ assessments that are used in all of their work that they do, including their integrated assessment reports on a biennial basis. But everything is not always good on the lake. As many of you know, this is the Lake Anna drainage area on a map developed by DEQ for one of our stakeholder meetings, showing the impairments that are in the latest draft report that is out for completion right now. I won't go into a whole lot of detail because of time on this, but basically every major stream leading into the lake is impaired for primarily E. coli. A couple of them have some macroinvertebrate impairments. The creek I live on down here, Contrary Creek, this creek right here is impaired because of metals, zinc, cadmium, copper, things like that. There was a lot of mining conducted. Reason why the town of Mineral was named Mineral, the name was changed to Mineral. A lot of mining was done along that creek back in the early part of the 20th century. The lake is impaired mainly for PCBs and things like that in the fish tissue. If you have any questions on that, we can talk about that, but DEQ is probably the better source to go to. From a blue-green algae and HAB perspective, we've had swim advisories each of the last 3 recreational seasons, 2018, 19, and 20, and we anticipate that there'll be swim advisories this year. We commented on VDH's most recent update to their swim advisory protocol, which added a couple of different toxins, some neurotoxins to their swim advisory. We've never had an advisory due to toxins. They've always been due to the cell counts in the area. This slide was prepared by VDH, Margaret Smigo, for the annual HAB task force meeting that was conducted and led by VDH and DEQ back in January. I can talk more about the swim advisories and the HAB issues as we go through this, or if there's any questions, put into the chat. And when it really gets ugly, this is what it looks like. This is a picture or an image from the Terry's Run area, the upper part of Terry's Run, called Fraser's Landing, last year. And this is a picture taken by one of our LACA members, the secretary of our board, at her dock several years ago during one of the worst blooms that they've had on Pamunkey Creek. So Terry's Run and Pamunkey Creek are where we see a lot of the bloom issues. The North Anna River, north of the bridge, also experiences blooms as well. These pictures show on the left side from Terry's Run and on the right side with the green algae from Pamunkey Creek. All right, so let's talk about more general about the Upper York River. When I talk about the Upper York River, and there are, everybody probably has their own definitions of what's the upper, the mid, and the lower, but from the standpoint that I have, talking with Cersei and others earlier this year, we consider that upper part of the Mattaponi and the upper part of the Pamunkey River huck zones, these two huck zones that make up part of this. This is the Pamunkey huck zone. This one's the Mattaponi huck zone in the York River watershed. That red area encompasses what we would consider the upper part of the York River. So let's talk a little bit of information about where do we fit in. So if the Upper York River is 2669 square miles, and I got that off the web from a number of sources, so I think it's probably fairly correct. It probably does not include, based on what when I do the addition in the huck zones, it probably doesn't include that area there. I think it just includes the 3 or 4 major huck zones in the watershed. But that Upper York River watershed, when I add up all the square miles and convert that to, or square kilometers and convert that to square miles from the DEQ database, we're about 54%. That area in red is 54% of the York River, so it's more than half. And the Upper Mattaponi watershed makes up a significant part of that. The Upper Pamunkey, over 1,000 square miles. And within the Upper Pamunkey, the Lake Antidrainage area is 340, almost more than a third of that Upper Pamunkey watershed, and it contributes those percentages that you see in those bullets there. So that leads me to my 6 words. Water quality in the headwaters matters. And I don't think that's a surprise or to anybody, and I don't think anybody would argue with me on that. We are pleased to be a part of the York River Small Coastal Basin. We understand that what goes on up here in the headwaters makes its way down in a lot of ways down into the Chesapeake Bay, and it impacts all of the things that we've been talking about this morning and some of the things that we'll be talking about this afternoon. One of the interesting things, though, if I would have shown you an impairment map below the dam on the Lake Anna, on the North Anna River from the dam to not all the way to Doswell, where it joins the South Anna to form the Pamunkey River, but a large part of the North Anna River south of the dam is not impaired. And so the lake is acting as a filter or a large wetlands, cleaning that water that's going over the dam and into the North Anna River, feeding the Pamunkey River downstream. So let me just talk for a few minutes about our water quality improvement program. And what this basically does is just brings all of our different projects together under a single program label that we use to manage and allocate resources. So the first thing is our water quality monitoring. We monitor with DEQ 4 times a year. DEQ monitors the lake and the streams on a monthly basis. We monitor 4 times during the recreational season. We also do sediment sampling. That's a recent add. We had a project with the Randolph-Macon College this year, and we just completed, and yesterday was the final report. We've got now 4 sampling periods, September, December, March, and April under our belt. And we do algae monitoring. We monitor the lake, the upper lake this year on a weekly basis, starting in May, and we monitor through October into the early parts of November. And all 3 of those efforts are for data delivery for our assessments and our own internal analysis that guides our resource development, our grant preparations, those kinds of things. We've added a remote sensing project. We're looking at using Sentinel-2 data from the European Space Agency Sentinel satellite, the Copernicus program, to do some predictive analysis. That satellite gives us some multispectral analysis and data cubes that allow us to look at the chlorophyll predictions that Copernicus has given us, and get some of that data in-house and utilize that to do some phycocyanin analysis as well as chlorophyll analysis to guide where we utilize our resources, both time and money that we use to do lab analysis. We're also experimenting with a floating treatment wetlands concept, putting several out on the lake this year in concert with approvals from DEQ and from Dominion Energy, who runs the power plant on the lake. I have a lot of information on that, and I understand that there's other folks that have tried those in the past, and if anybody has any experience, remarks on floating treatment wetlands, we would greatly appreciate any discussions that you would want to have with us on that. We've got 20 years of data. DEQ has data going back to the 70s. And DEQ has fantastic ways of analyzing that data for their assessments. We need some ways to analyze the data on our own. So we've got a project ongoing this year with hopefully a student research project. We're focused on either Randolph-Macon or Virginia Tech to do the data analysis and analytics program project so that we can analyze our data. And nothing happens without money. And so we have a fairly substantial effort throughout the year submitting grant applications to fund these programs and other things that we want to do. So I think I'm pretty much right on time, Cersei. So I'll take any questions in the chat, and thank you for your time.